right, we are now going to take a look at the AFC playoff picture. We promised you guys yesterday after doing the NFC playoff picture, if enough people subscribe, we would do the AFC. You guys delivered, and now that Week 11 is in the books, we will break down how things are looking in the AFC. You look at the full AFC playoff picture right now. The division leaders are the Broncos and Patriots, the 1 and 2 seed at 9 and 2. The Colts coming off their bye week at 8 and 2. The Steelers hanging on at 6 and 4 there. The three wild card teams right now are the 7 and 3 Bills, the 7 and 4 Chargers, and the 6 and 4 Jaguars. And then you've got 3 5 and 5 teams, the Texans, Chiefs, and Ravens, before you kind of get into the range of teams not really in the hunt, although Miami's lurking just a little bit if they can stack a few more wins. All right, who is the best team in the AFC in your opinion? You had to pick right now. This team is coming out of the AFC to make the Super Bowl. Who would that team be? Let me know down in the comment section below. Like we did yesterday, we'll take a look at the division leaders first and kind of break down their remaining schedules and where I think these teams sit. Denver, a lot of momentum going into their bye week after beating Kansas City. And then you look out of the bye, right? I know it's on the road, but at Washington, at Las Vegas, 2 games they should win. They win both of those to get to 11 and 2. They're pretty close to wrapping up the AFC West. The Packers in Week 15, and then the Jags in Week 16. Tougher games, but you get those at home. And then you go to the Chiefs on Thursday Night Football before finishing up with the Chargers. Again, if Denver can just win these first 2 out of the bye week against Washington and Las Vegas to get to 11 and 2, that all but locks up a playoff spot, and you're very close to wrapping up the division, and you'd be in a pretty good spot to potentially secure the number 1 overall seed. Obviously, for the Broncos, their defense is awesome. What version of Bo Nix do you get? Do you get the version that played pretty dang well against the Chiefs, or do you get the one who was awful against the Raiders? That's going to be the difference in how far they can go in the playoffs, but they are for sure a playoff team. He's the key to determining how far they can actually go. Okay, the New England Patriots, the 2 seed right now. This is what they've got coming up. They got the Bengals on the road this week before the Giants at home. Joe Burrow not expected to return for Cincinnati this week. Jamar Chase has been suspended, so that's a game they should win. Giants at home, another game they should win, so they could also be 11 and 2 heading into the bye week. And then you got the Bills in Week 15 and then the Ravens in Week 16. Those are clearly the 2 tough games left for New England before finishing against the Jets on the road and then the Dolphins at home, 2 teams that the Patriots should handle. And that Week 15 game against Buffalo at home in Foxborough, that's going to be huge. The Bills have been a little more up and down than the Patriots. The Patriots have benefited from easier schedule. New England did win the first head-to-head matchup. If they beat the Bills again, they all but wrap up the AFC East. But if Buffalo wins, things could get a lot tighter heading into the final stretch. Okay, the 3rd-seeded 8 and 2 Colts, like I said, just came off their bye week, so 7 games in a row to finish the year. At Kansas City, that's going to be a tough game. I mean, the Chiefs, they're desperate. 5 and 5, they're fighting for their season every week now, so curious to see how Indianapolis handles that. Then they get the Texans at home before going to Jacksonville, then Seattle, so not exactly any easy layup games right there. Neither are these. 49ers at home on Monday Night Football, Jacksonville at home, and then at Houston to end the year. Some winnable games, Jacksonville twice, a team they could certainly at least split with. Same with Houston. Kansas City on the road, a desperate Chiefs at that, 49ers in prime time. Colts' schedule's tough the rest of the way. They don't have a single game that you're like, oh, they should for sure win that. They have a lot of winnable games, but it's not like the Jets and the Titans are on the schedule. So that is where Indianapolis sits. I would say among the 3 2-loss teams in the AFC, they've got the tougher schedule from here on out. And then the 4-seeded Pittsburgh Steelers, who started 4-1, have kind of limped to 6-4. They got the Bears this week. We'll talk Aaron Rodgers in a second, kind of give you the latest on his wrist injury. Then they return home to face the Bills before going to Baltimore, the first of 2 meetings with the Ravens, which will have huge implications in the AFC North. Then they get the Dolphins on Monday Night Football before going to Detroit in Week 16. Then they get the Browns on the road in Week 17, and then Baltimore at home in Week 18. And currently, the Steelers are ahead in the standings of Baltimore by 1 game, but Ravens are the betting favorite there. But 2 head-to-head matchups. If you're Pittsburgh, you beat them both times, you're going to be in a good position. If you at least split, you're going to have a chance as well. Now, everyone wants to know what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. Mike Tomlin said today that his left wrist does have a fracture in it, but that it will not require surgery. pretty much come down to what Tomlin said is functionality in terms of whether or not he'll be able to play against the Bears this week. Can he take under center snaps? Can he hand the ball off? Can he grip the football with his left hand? If he can, he'll play. Early reports suggest he is pushing hard to play in this game on Sunday. So, he understands that every game is critical at this point with the Ravens playing the way they are. Who do you guys think ends up winning the AFC North? Type PAIT for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Type BAL for the Baltimore Ravens. Let us know down in the comments section below. Today's show is sponsored by Turtle Beach, the #1 brand in gaming headsets and accessories. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and under the tree, a gift was waiting, one that would change every game from then on. Remember what it felt like to unwrap your very first headset? That joy, that thrill of plugging it in and stepping into a whole new world. Give that same experience all over again with the Turtle Beach Gen 3 Stealth 700 headset. This is more than just a gift. It's the ultimate throwback to those holiday mornings spent gaming from dawn to dusk. I've certainly been there before, but this time it's better. No more tiny mics or muffled sound, just crystal clear audio, immersive surround sound, and an insane 80-hour battery life that keeps the fun going after those long Christmas holiday days. And even when those Christmas lights come down, that battery life is still going to be there. I've personally used Turtle Beach headsets and other accessories for years when I play video games. Don't have as much time these days, but when I'm gaming, I'm using Turtle Beach. That feeling of when you're playing a sports game, the surround sound in the stadium, where you're playing Madden or college football, Call of Duty, Fortnite, knowing where opposing players are. I'm ahead of the curve thanks to Turtle Beach, and you can be as well. Get the ultimate immersive gaming experience with Turtle Beach today. For a limited time only, go to turtlebeach.com. Use our code CHAT to get 10% off. That is 10% off at turtlebeach.com. Use promo code CHAT. Don't delay. Get the perfect gift now. Happy holidays from Turtle Beach. All right, you revisit the playoff picture here. We'll now examine the wild card teams, Buffalo, the Chargers, and the Jaguars here. Let's take a look at the Bills first, who've been a little Jekyll and Hyde. Some weeks they look awesome. Other weeks they don't. Got blown out by Miami a couple weeks ago. They go to Houston, short week here, Thursday Night Football, late in the season. That typically benefits the home team, but no C.J. Stroud, so you would think the Bills could handle Davis Mills. Week 13 at the Steelers. That's potentially a big game for both teams. Week 14 against the Bengals, a game they should win. But if Joe Burrow decides to come back, he's in his practice window. That game gets a little tougher. Week 15 at the Patriots. Obviously, we talked about that one earlier. Could have huge division and seeding implications for both teams. Then they go to Cleveland in Week 16. Week 17 against the Eagles, then wrap things up with the lowly New York Jets. I think Buffalo's got a lot of manageable games here. You got the Browns, you got the Jets, got a couple games before that as well. Do have to go to New England, so we'll see if they can salvage a split after losing at home to the Patriots earlier this year. Okay, Chargers have their bye week. Good time, too. They're banged up, and they just got smacked by Jacksonville. But they get the Raiders out of the bye, so that's a soft landing spot. And they need to win that game because then you got the Eagles in prime time. You go to Kansas City in Week 15. And, again, Chiefs are in playoff mode the rest of the way. Go to Dallas in Week 16. They looked pretty good the other night. We'll see how they play week in and week out moving forward. Quentin Williams certainly gave that defense some life. Week 17 against the Texans, and then Week 18 at the Broncos. So other than that Raiders game, they got some tough games here. I mean, even Dallas, who's not having a great year, they have a pretty potent offense, looked better defensively the other night. It was the Raiders, but still. So we'll see how things look for the Chargers. And they've had a lot of injuries, man. And I don't know if they're going to be able to overcome them. Like, I think they're probably a playoff team, but I don't know how far they can go. I mean, Justin Herbert has not played as well since losing Joe Alt. They've had running back injuries. Defensive guys have gone down. So they're hanging in there. But I do think the ceiling of what this team can do in 2025 is relatively capped just because too many key players are out. All right, guys, we're trying to get to 15,000 subscribers here on Verts. We're bringing you daily NFL and college football content on the channel. 848 away from 15,000. So if you want to support the movement, we got you covered here on Verts. All you got to do is subscribe today. It's free. Okay, Jags, currently the 7th seed. And I'm not a huge Jacksonville believer. I mean, they blow that game to Davis Mills, but then they crush the Chargers. So, again, that Jekyll and Hyde, it's like, who are they? But you look at this remaining schedule, man. I know it's on the road, but Cardinals, Titans the next 2 weeks, like, you got to be licking your chops if you're Jacksonville. If you can get both of those, you get to 8-4. Kind of a just let it rip game against the Colts. Even if you lose that, then you got the Jets at home. And then your final three, at Denver, at Indy are tough, but then you finish with the Titans. So you got 4 pretty easy games on the schedule. I mean, at Arizona, if they were healthier, isn't a layup, but they got a lot of injuries. You get Tennessee twice. I mean, you got the Jets at home. They might be playoff bound just kind of on schedule alone. And beating the Chargers was huge. It was one of those games going into the week, those playoff predictors, the variance, if they win versus if they lose in terms of percentage of chance of making the playoffs, they kind of had to get that one, and they got it. So now, if they just win the 4 games they're supposed to, they're 10-7. Like that's probably going to get you in the playoffs. And remember, they have the tiebreaker over the Chiefs and over the Chargers, 2 teams they could be jockeying with for those final couple playoff spots. So the Jags, give them credit. They have found a way to win the games they need to. And if they do that the rest of the way, if they simply beat the teams they're better than over their final 7, they'll win at least 4 games, and that gets you to 10 wins. All right, so then you got the 3 teams on the outside looking in, the Texans, the Chiefs, and the Ravens. Kind of crazy. We're in week 12, and the Chiefs and Ravens currently are not playoff teams. Even Houston, they were the heavy favorite to win the AFC South. Texans have won a couple in a row with Davis Mills. They'll have to do it again as C.J. Stroud has been ruled out for Thursday night. You get Bills at home on a short week, though, so maybe they got a shot there. At the Colts after that, that's obviously a big game. At the Chiefs, and then Cardinals at home. So, realistically, you probably have to win 3 out of 4 there, and that's going to be pretty tough with those first 3 games. But then you get the Raiders at home. You go to the Chargers, who have a lot of injuries, and then Colts at home week 18, maybe the Colts have clinched and they're resting guys. So this next month is key. Like at minimum, you got to go 2-2, but you probably got to go 3-1. And then if you beat the Raiders, call it 4-1. You go 4-1, that gets you to 9-6. Split your last 2, you're 10-7. That's probably the path for Houston to make the postseason. And I think that Texans Chiefs game in week 15, losers probably on the outside looking in. That's just going to be a lot to overcome. 10 feels like the magic number. If you get to 10 wins, you're probably a playoff team. So if you lose that game, that's your 6th loss. Well, then your margin for error is only 1 more game. So the loser of that Chiefs-Texans Week 15 game is going to be in major, major trouble. Speaking of the Chiefs, I meant Week 14, by the way. A typo there. Colts coming up this week. A desperate spot. You would think the Chiefs would throw the kitchen sink at Indy. Indy coming off a bye, though, so not going to be easy. At the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, coming up after that. And then you get the Texans, long rest. So that should help their chances there. Chargers at home, got to get the split. Lost that game in Brazil to the Chargers. So if you're going to make the playoffs, got to beat them the second time. Do get to play the Titans on the road. That's a game they should get. You also get the Raiders in Week 18. So, let's assume they get those 2. That's 7. You got to find 3 more. Again, you're going to have to get to 10 wins to make the postseason. I think they got to win this week. I think they have to beat the Colts. They can't fall below 500. Beat the Colts, short week against the Cowboys. Maybe you get some momentum, win that game. All of a sudden, in a matter of 5 days, you get to 7-5, and things are feeling better. But the pressure's mounting on Kansas City. I think 5-2 is the minimum threshold to make the postseason. Because remember, they're not going to have the tiebreaker against Jacksonville, and as of now, they wouldn't have it against the Chargers. They do play them again, so they could split that deal and get to a further tiebreaker situation. But I think 5-2 that gets you to 10-7. It's going to take that or more for Kansas City. Will the Chiefs make the playoffs? Who would have thought we'd be asking this in Week 12? Type Y for yes, type in for no. My gut tells me they'll find a way, but it is not going to be easy for Kansas City the rest of the way. All right, Baltimore here, then we'll wrap up. Jets at home this week. Steelers at home the week after. Now, maybe Joe Burrow plays in that game, but they should for sure win this week. That would get to 6-5. Even with Joe Burrow, they should win that game. And then the Steelers, first of 2 matchups, right? Those are going to be big. You got the Bengals on the road, so you play them twice in 3 weeks. Patriots at home, that's going to be a tough one. At Green Bay, so that's a tough 2-game stretch. And then it's at the Steelers. So it's going to come down probably to those 2 Steelers games. Got to at least split them. And then you got to take care of business outside of that. I mean, Patriots, Packers, you probably need to split those. If you split Pittsburgh, split Patriots, Packers, and win the rest of your games, you're probably winning the AFC North. That would be my guess. I think Pittsburgh's got a little tougher run here of games coming up. Vegas agrees. They're minus 280 to win the division. But two head-to-heads. If they were to lose both to Pittsburgh, then that would shift dramatically. So we'll see how it plays out. Baltimore's been cooking, though. They've won 4 games in a row, and they are trending in the right direction. All right, guys, that's going to do it for our AFC playoff picture. We'll do some kind of playoff type of videos from here on out. It won't be the exact same video every week. We'll mix it up and maybe do kind of a predictions video at some point on who's going to make it, who's not. So stay tuned for that. We'll have a college football episode soon as well. A lot going on, a lot of noise with Lane Kiffin right now. So be on the lookout. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you guys soon.